All right, could begin now.
Good day, class. I am Nathan Ketomo. Our group will be presenting Leading Change, Chapter 15 of the Leadership Experience by Richard L. Daft. The points we will cover are change and how it can mean the difference between success or perishing as an organization. 2, steps leaders can implement to lead major change. 3, simple routines for leading everyday change. 4, leaders leading for innovation in today's fast-paced world. 5, lastly, the importance of implementing change. Change or perish. The rapidity of social, economic, and technological change means that organizations have to be perpetually changing and adapting to keep pace. A big problem for today's organization is the failure to adapt to all these changes in the environment. A perfect example of this change or perish dynamic was on full display during COVID-19. Organizations that couldn't adapt to the change perished. Thankfully, Costa adapted to the change, and now we could be online in the comfort of our homes. That's why leadership is crucial. That's why identifying characteristics of leaders who can accomplish successful change is important. Here are some of the characteristics of such leaders. They define themselves as change leaders rather than people who want to maintain the status quo. They demonstrate courage. They believe in employees. They believe in employees' capacity to assume responsibilities. They are able to assimilate and articulate values that promote adaptability. They recognize and learn from their own mistakes, which is very important. They are capable of managing complexity, uncertainty, and ambiguity. They have vision and can describe their vision for the future in vivid terms. Here's an illustration of a leader that shows these qualities. Her name is Barbara Walsh of Hewlett Packard. She started her career in a mid-level position at HP Labs and identified herself as an agent of change. She had a vision that the organization would be the world's best industrial research lab. Walsh quickly developed a reputation for getting things done, and many people from various parts of the organization would come to her with problems. For example, Tan Ham, a former Vietnamese refugee working at HP Labs, regularly sent money to a Buddhist orphanage in Bangladesh, only to have the money disappear in it. Walsh told her that she couldn't solve the problem for him, but that she would help him take the steps needed to become personally involved in the project and make sure his concerns were addressed. 2 characteristics she showed was 1, believing in employees' abilities. 2, believing in employees' capacity to assume responsibilities. Leading a major change. Before we go on, I would like to ask the group a question. If you had a magic wand to cause any major change you wanted, what would it be and why? Don't all rush at once. Anyone? I'm sure someone have a major change they will want to see.
Decrease
How
inflation.
deep,
I listening?
I was like, how deep can we go with that question?
Deep as you want to, you listening.
I would say end all war.
And all what, that's a good one. It's right now we have a lot of what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really depressing.
Yeah, it is. Anybody else?
I want
End
to
of
end
all
poverty.
diseases.
and all diseases. Wow, some lofty goals here. My own will be I just want more than 4%, but it's some good response there. All right, moving on. Now we are going to look at a 8-stage model for leading change, and this is very interesting. At stage 1, leaders accomplish a sense of urgency that change is really needed. Crisis or threat work toward the resistance to change. In many cases, though, there is no obvious crisis, and leaders have to make others aware of the need for change. After identifying potential crisis or problems, they find ways to communicate the information broadly and dynamically. One such leader was Martin Luther King Jr. He established a sense of urgency, using vivid language and imagery to describe the injustices of segregation and discrimination. He highlighted the hypocrisy of America's claim to be a land of freedom and equality. He appealed to the moral conscience of the American people. Stage 2 involves establishing a coalition with enough power to guide the change process and then developing a sense of teamwork amongst the group. Teamwork is the key word here. For the change process to succeed, there must be a shared commitment to the need and possibilities for organizational transformation. On the picture on the right, we have Tubal Uriah Butler, and he established a coalition. He was a Grenadian-born spiritual Baptist preacher and labor leader in Trinidad and Tobago. He is best known for leading the 1937 labor riot, which helped to bring about significant improvement in working conditions for Trinidadians. Butler was a charismatic and effective leader. He was able to build a coalition of support amongst workers, peasants, and intellectuals. He did this by speaking to their shared concerns about poverty, inequality, and injustice. At stage 3, requires developing a vision and strategy. Leaders are responsible for formulating and articulating a compelling vision that will guide the change effort, then developing the strategies for achieving that vision. A picture of a highly desirable future motivates people to change. Mahatma Gandhi developed a vision and a strategy for his cause through a combination of personal reflection, religious study, and political experience. Gandhi's vision was of a free and independent India, where all people, regardless of caste, religion, or ethnicity, were treated equally. He believed that this could be achieved through nonviolent resistance, which he called Sayagandha. Stage 4, leaders use every means possible to widely communicate the vision and strategy. They must communicate about the change at least 10 times more than they think necessary. Transformation is impossible unless a majority of people in the organization are involved and willing to help, often to the point of making personal sacrifice. Stage 5 involves empowering employees throughout the organization to act on the vision. This means getting rid of obstacles to change, which may require revising systems, structures, or procedures that hinder or undermine the change effort. At stage 6, leaders generate short-term wins. Leaders plan for visible performance improvements, enable them to happen and celebrate employees who were involved in the improvements. Major change takes time, and a transformation effort lost momentum if there are no short-term accomplishments that employees can recognize and celebrate. A highly visible and successful short-term accomplishment boosts the credibility of the change process and renews the commitment and enthusiasm of employees. A good example of this is like the Employees of the Month The little picture you see when you go into those like fast food restaurants is a good example of celebrating short-term wins by employees. Stage 7, keep up the urgency, building on the credibility and momentum achieved by short-term wins to tackle bigger problems. Successful change leaders don't simply declare victory after small wins and become complacent. They use courage and perseverance to give people the energy and power to take on more difficult issues. Finally, stage 8 is where leaders make the change stick. Transformation isn't over until changes have well-established roots. Leaders instill new values, attitudes, and behaviors that employees view the change not as something new, but as a normal and integral part of how the organization operates. Leaders celebrate and promote people who act according to the new values. This strategy also requires developing a means to ensure leadership development and succession so that the new values and behaviors are carried forward to the next generation of leadership. This is why transition planning is so important. Okay, so now I'll be handing over to my colleague, Denisha Williams, and she will take it from here.
Okay, leading everyday change. Sometimes leaders see that significant changes need to be made, but they are constrained by various circumstances from initiating bold changes, or they recognize that aggressive moves would provoke strong resistance. In addition, the nature of leaderships means influencing others in many small ways on a regular basis. Good leaders work daily, or at least they should be working daily to gradually shift attitudes, assumptions, and behaviors towards a desired future. When individual leaders throughout the organization are involved in daily change effort, they have a powerful cumulative effect. Leaders can learn strategies for everyday change that will have significant constructive impact as everyday conversations and small actions spread to others throughout the organization. This picture here illustrates a range of incremental changes about different strategies leaders can use for making changes, bit by bit. It's kind of like a spectrum going from the leader doing their own thing to collaborating extensively with others. So there's this idea of creative self expression where leaders express their ideas in unique and creative ways. Then there's finding the right opportunities, like picking the perfect moments to implement changes. Plus, using the right words is key, knowing how to communicate effectively. And lastly, there's alliance building, which is all about working closely with others to bring about those changes. I'm gonna break down each of these strategies in the next few slides, so please stay as alert as possible with this weather. Okay, so first, creative self-expression. Creative self-expression is the least conspicuous way to promote change, and it involves a single leader acting in a way that others will notice and that reflects the values or behaviors he or she wishes to instill in their followers. Creative self-expression quietly unsettles others' expectations and routine, whether it be a leader who wears casual pants and sweaters in an organization where most people wear suits, or a leader who shifts working hours to balance work and family life. I have a coworker whose outfits are super loud, super expressive, always bright colors and bold patterns, and it pairs really well with her blue hair. And to me, I find she tends to bring this burst of color and energy into our otherwise dull office. That's the right word. With this strategy, a leader turns an opponent's negative attitude, comments, or behaviors into opportunities for change that others will notice. One good example relates to diversity and the challenges that minorities face in organizations. An example of this would be, say, you're Say you're in a meeting and there's someone named Susie, someone named Marcus, and there's the boss. Or maybe you're the boss, you're the leader. And let's say Susie makes an excellent point, and no one really paid her any mind, but then Marcus comes around and says the same exact thing, but simply words it differently. But all of a sudden, everybody's like, "Oh, Marcus, what a great idea!" And they're basically agreeing and praising Marcus for the exact same thing Susie just was ignored for. So, what needs to happen here is you or whoever the leader is needs to acknowledge what Marcus said, but also bring focus to Susie, who made the same point. It can be as simple as, "Hey, Marcus, nice catch there. I'm really glad you picked up on what Susie was saying. Susie, did Marcus get what you were thinking on this issue?" See, by casually calling attention to the fact that Susie was blatantly ignored and her ideas taken by another, you, or the leader, made an important point without accusing or embarrassing anyone. Granted, some people could possibly take your action the wrong way, but by doing so, he or the leader, or yourself, raised Susie's visibility and drew her directly into the discussion. Moving on, right opportunities. A more public approach is for leaders to look for, create, and capitalize on opportunities for motivating others to change. An example, there's this woman, right, who got hired as a division president at this tech company. And get this, she wasn't a fan of the whole command and control leadership style we had going on, but she was smart about it. She knew that going ahead, no, she knew that going head on against it would make enemies. So what did she do? She focused on leading her own division in a super inclusive way, giving her team a say in things and sharing power and authority with them. Plus, when she had to make presentations to the big shots in the company, she let the folks who had actually worked on the project take the spotlight, and it turned out to be a win win. The employees got more skills and experience, and the other executives got to see their talents and contributions in action. Lastly, alliance building. With strategic alliance building, the leader works closely with others to move issues to the forefront more quickly and directly than would be possible working alone. When it comes to making everyday change, this is probably the most public and political way to go about it. Leaders, they get people on board who already agree with ideas for change. But what's even more smart is that even those who might be against the ideas, they see them as potential allies. We've all seen examples of alliance building. It's everywhere, even online. You go on Instagram, especially nowadays with sadly the world going on. And there are other aspects. You go Instagram, Twitter, possibly well, people, Facebook. And I bet you've looked at the images on the slide, you'd recognize most, if not all of them. So I won't get into the nitty-gritty details. All in all, alliance building is all about finding those common ground and building connections. Leading for innovation. Question. In your honest opinion, what do you think people in this day and age should do to survive? You could think of it as a perspective of a Trinidadian, perhaps. What do you think a Trinidadian, possibly you or anybody else, should do to survive in this economy, this day and age?
I think we need to start making our own bread. Boom.
Funny you say
Uh,
that since I make my own. Anyone?
I believe people should start to create their own business, also produce their own food at home.
By produce their own food, what do you mean? Like home cooked meals? Probably. Well, moving on. The top answer among 500 CEOs surveyed by the American Management Association was practice creativity and innovation. However, only 6% of the respondents felt that their companies were successfully accomplishing this goal. Similarly, another survey by Businessweek and the Boston Consulting Group found that 72% of top executives said innovation is a top priority in their companies. Yet almost half said they are dissatisfied with their results in that area. If there's one company I know that's a stickler for innovation, it's Google. They foster a creative and stimulating work environment as the company's offices are famously designed to encourage interaction and idea sharing among employees. Spaces are open and communal, promoting spontaneous discussions and collaboration. Google's also big on research and development, pouring resources into cutting edge technologies like AI and quantum computing. Plus, they're not afraid to scoop up cool startups that align with their goals, bringing in fresh ideas and talent. But what really sets Google apart is their focus on users. They dive deep into understanding what people want, shaping their innovative products and services around real user needs. Today's leaders are adopting structures and systems that promote rather than squelch the creative and creation and implementation of new ideas. Active leaders find ways to promote creativity in the departments where it is most needed. Just last week, a co-worker of mine mentioned that our organization had no room for innovation, so I took it as our director probably isn't an effective leader. But for example, some organizations, such as hospitals, government agencies, and non-profit organizations, may need frequent changes in policies and procedures, and leaders can promote creativity among administrative workers. For companies that rely on new products, leaders need to promote the generation and sharing of ideas across departments. In most successful companies, leaders want everyone to come up with new ideas for solving problems and meeting customer needs. If I can think of one company that I would say is innovative, is Kiss Baking Company, because just think of all the products they've released. And when it comes to other innovative companies, there's a bunch out there. There's Apple. I mean, who hasn't heard of iPhones, iPad, MacBook? And they're constantly pushing the envelope with new gadgets and techs. There's Tesla, revolutionizing the innovative industry with the electric cars and self-driving technology, and also companies like Airbnb, who are changing the way we travel and find accommodation for those that travel a lot. So yeah, there's no shortage of innovative companies out there that are always coming up with fresh products and ideas that shape our world in exciting ways. Can anyone name a product, brand, or company that they consider to be innovative? Like they realize that they're always coming up with new products.
Um, White Oak? What is the name of that company again?
I do not know sadly. But okay, White Oak. Now let's move on to the next slide, which is creative organization. But before that, what is creativity? Creativity is the generation of ideas that are both novel and useful for improving efficiency and slash or effectiveness of an organization. Creative people come up with ideas that may meet perceived needs of problems or respond to opportunities and are therefore adopted by the organization. So the creative organization is an environment that encourages creativity and helps the organization be more innovative. Um, if you can just go back 2 slides, please. No, back 2 slides, please. One more time. Thank you. So To the left of this slide, you'll see I've listed the 5 elements of innovative organizations. Those are alignment, creative values, unofficial activity, diverse stimuli, and within company communication. Creative people are often known for open-mindedness, curiosity, independence, self-confidence, persistence, and a focused approach to problem solving. These characteristics are stronger in some people than in others. However, recent research on creativity suggests that everyone has roughly equal creative potential. The problem is that many people don't use such potential. This is where leaders come in. Leaders can help both individuals and organizations be more creative. So let's begin with alignment. For creative acts that benefit the organization to occur consistently, the interests and actions of everyone should be aligned with the organization's purpose, vision, and goals. Leaders make clear what the company stands for, consistently promote the vision, and clarify specific goals. In addition, they make a commitment of time, energy, and resources to activities that keep focus people on innovation. Many organizations set up separate creative departments or venture teams. One increasingly popular approach is the idea incubator, which is being used at companies such as Boeing, With Davis, and UPS. What's an idea incubator, you may wonder? Well, it's a safe harbor where ideas from people throughout the organization can be developed without interference from company bureaucracy or politics. So, pretty much, it's designed to help early innovators achieve an MVP or create an achievable plan to take that product to market. By MVP, I don't mean the most valuable player, no. But by MVP, I mean minimum viable product. A minimum viable product is an early basic version of a product that meets the minimum necessary requirements for use but can be adapted and improved in the future, especially after customer feedback. Next, we have creative values. Most people have a natural desire to explore and create, which leads them to want to initiate creative activity on their own. Granted, most of these desires are sometimes squelched early in life by teachers and sometimes even parents. Leaders can unleash deep-seated employee motivation for creativity and innovation. They encourage an entrepreneurial spirit by instilling values of taking risks, exploring and providing the structures and systems that encourage people to explore new ideas. This type of cooperative, this type of corporate entrepreneurship or entrepreneurship can produce a higher than average number of innovations. One important outcome is to facilitate idea champions. Idea champions are people who passionately believe in any idea and fight to overcome natural resistance and convince others of its value. Change does not happen by itself. Personal energy and efforts are needed to successfully promote a new idea. Champions make sure valuable ideas get accepted and move forward for implementation. Moving on, we have unofficial activity. Now, this one's my favorite. Unofficial activity is when leaders give people free time for activities that are outside of their regular job description. One study of creativity found that in almost every case, the essence of the creative act came during the unofficial time period, like dream time. Dream time is what makes it possible for companies to go where they never expected to. The best example is 3M's Post-it notes. It's one of the 5 most well-known 3M products and one that resulted from an engineer's free time experiment with another worker's failure, which was a not very sticky glue. So a glue that wasn't sticky enough was transformed into a sticky note, so to say. 3M let employees spend 15% of their time on any project of their own choosing without management approval. Dedicating 15% of your workday to creative pursuits, which translates to about 1.5 hours out of 8 hours a day, Sounds fantastic, and it's a great opportunity, in my opinion. Sure, the creativity might take a bit of time to kick in, especially during the first week as we settle into the groove. But by the second week, with constant effort and focus, there's a good chance your product could be the one management is eager to showcase on the shelves. It's all about giving yourself that time and space to let your innovative ideas flow and develop. Best of luck to anyone in this class who has a creative idea they're eager to share. And hopefully you remember how I said that Google is a stickler for innovation. While they too adopted this idea where the managers also keep creativity alive by letting people spend 20% of their time, which is 1 day each week, working on any project of their choosing, even if the project doesn't tie in with the company's central mission. That must make going to work significantly less time than companies. As with the other topics we touched on, another one that's equally important is diverse stimuli. It is important to know in advance what stimulus will lead any particular person to come up with a creative idea. The seeds of the idea for post-it notes were planted when that same engineer I mentioned previously bookmarks kept falling out of his church hymnal. Leaders can help provide the sparks that set off creative ideas. Companies such as Formark, Norton Networks Broadband, and Bell Laboratories bring in outside speakers on diverse topics to open people up to different ideas. Advertising agency Leo Burnett was a regular Inspire Me day when one team took the rest of the department out to do something totally unrelated to advertising. One team took the group to a Mexican wrestling match where team members showed up in costumes and masks like some of the more ardent wrestling fans. One idea that grew out of the experience was a new slogan for The Score, which is a sports network. I don't know if any of you know it, but they came up with the slogan The Score, home for the hardcore. Leaders can also provide employees with diverse stimuli by rotating people into different jobs, allowing them time off to participate in volunteer activities, and giving them opportunities to mix with people who are different from themselves, so to say. Organizations can give people opportunities to work with customers, suppliers, and others outside your industry. And lastly, we have internal communication. Creativity flourishes when there is frequent contact with interdisciplinary networks of people at all levels of the organization. Without adequate internal communication and coordination, ideas from creative departments, or what they call idea champions, can't be implemented. Leaders foster an environment that encourages people to communicate across boundaries. For example, the man on the left at appliance maker Electrolux, CEO Hans Schaber introduced a new approach to product development that has designers, engineers, marketers, and production people working side by side to come up with hot new products such as the Pronto cordless stick vacuum, which gained a 50% market share in Europe within 2 years. Impressive work. An engineer who worked there, named Giuseppe Fugo, said that they never used to create products together and that the designers would come up with something and then tell them to build it. The new cooperative approach that Hans Streiberg introduced enhances creativity and saves both time and money at Electrolux by avoiding the technical glitches that come up as a new design moves through the development process. Leaders can use the characteristics of innovative organizations to ignite creativity in specific departments or entire organizations. As for Samsung, their transformation story is truly inspiring. Kun Hee the guy who you see on the right, Mr. Kun Hee the chairman of Samsung Electronics, recognized the need for change when consumers started seeing Samsung products as cheap imitations. He was determined to turn things around. Wait, I just think this kettle. I think cut off by accident. Is anyone hearing me?
Yes.
Okay. Where did I reach? For some reason, I'm unable to see the slide.
You're dealing with Samsung.
Just a moment. Okay. For some reason, I'm unable to see the slide, but I'll still continue because I'm working. Let's see. Samsung, Kunhili, yeah. Okay. So, Kunhili was determined to turn things around and make Samsung a world-class innovator. One of the key steps they took was setting up the Innovative Design Lab, the IDS, where employees from various disciplines underwent extensive training to foster creativity and collaboration. These courses empower people to think differently, take risks, and champion their ideas. They even explored future buying patterns and consumer behavior through what if scenarios. Samsung also encouraged creativity by sending employees to art and design centers worldwide, providing them with fresh perspectives outside the office environment. The Value Innovation Program, VIP Center, played a significant role too. Here, employees from different areas work together without distractions, allowing cutting edge ideas to take shape and thrive. With these initiatives in place, Samsung has become a global leader in multiple consumer electronics categories. And it's no surprise they've outstripped previous leaders like Sony. Their success is a testament to the power of fostering creativity and innovation within an organization. So, by encouraging entrepreneurship, allowing for unofficial activity, providing employees with diverse stimuli, and encouraging internal communication and collaboration, leaders Lee have transformed Samsung Electronics into a hotbed of creativity and innovation. So, next slide. Let's talk about a crucial aspect of leadership in today's dynamic organizations leading creative people. In the ever changing landscape, we find ourselves in fostering creativity is not just important, it's essential. Organizations are undergoing significant transformation to meet new challenges, and they rely on their employees to contribute innovative ideas. Now, here's the thing people are at their most creative when they're encouraged to be open minded, curious, and willing to take risks. As leaders, it's our responsibility to create an environment that nurtures these qualities. By doing so, we empower our team to think differently, explore unconventional paths, and come up with groundbreaking solutions. So, how do we enhance individual creativity? It's about facilitating brainstorming sessions, encouraging lateral thinking to explore uncharted territories, and fostering creative intuition, trusting our instincts. When we provide the right support and encouragement, we inspire our teams to push boundaries and contribute fresh, inventive ideas that can truly transform our organizations. One good way leaders encourage creativity is to set up brainstorming sessions. Brainstorming uses a face to face interactive group to spontaneously suggest a wide range of creative ideas to solve the problem. The keys to effective brainstorming are no criticism, freewheeling, which is when you say an idea that comes to your mind no matter how dumb, weird, or fanciful you may think it is, and lastly, quantity, by which I mean to generate as many ideas as possible, since the more ideas, the better. Another way leaders encourage creativity is by encouraging lateral thinking. What is lateral thinking? Well, lateral thinking can be defined as a set of systematic techniques used for changing mental concepts and perceptions and generating new ones. It appears to solve a problem by an unorthodox or apparently illogical method. To stimulate lateral thinking, leaders provide people with opportunities to use different parts of their brain by allowing people to take time off from working on a problem and change what they are doing. For example, a NASA scientist was taking a shower in a German hotel while pondering how to fix the distorted lens in the Hubble telescope in 1990. Nobody could figure out how to fit a corrective mirror into the hard-to-reach space inside the orbiting telescope. The engineer noticed the European-style shower head mounted on adjustable rods. This perception connected with the Hubble problem as the scientists from NASA realized that corrective mirrors could be extended into the telescope on similar flowing arms. Lateral thinking came to rescue. Personal approaches to stretch your mind when solving problems could include behaviors such as changing your sleeping hours, taking a different route to work, reading a different newspaper, listening to a different radio station, meeting new people, trying new recipes, or changing your restaurant. Who knows, maybe your outdoor meter, recreation, or reading habits, all of which might stimulate a new part of the brain or trigger a lateral response. Unilever Best Foods asks 1,500 managers to leave their offices, laboratories, or factories for 3 days, twice a year, to visit customers and learn more about them. Card designers at American Greetings are free to change their work location. Enjoy. Card designers at American Greetings are free to change their location and enjoy a library of hundreds of magazines and thousands of books and confer with counterparts in other industries such as automotive and appliance manufacturers. Nike designers got the idea for the high gloss finish on the Air Jordan 19 at the Detroit Auto Show. So I encourage you to apply lateral thinking to your everyday life. Switch the KFC and gyro on a Friday evening for a homemade soup or something to your liking. Reduce sleeping hours from 12 hours to 7. Or for those who only get 5 hours or less, increase it to at least 8 hours a day. If you listen to the same genre of music every day, then maybe try another. Some gospel in the morning or evening really sets a good mood. So before I begin explaining creative intuition, I want you guys to look at the questions on the back side. And when I'm done, I'd like to hear what answers you came up with. Now, lastly, creative intuition. The creative flash of insight leaders want to awaken is actually the second stage of creativity. The first stage is data gathering because you see, the mind is gathering data constantly, especially when you are studying background data on a problem to be solved. Then the creative insight bubbles up as intuition from the deeper subconscious. Creativity often occurs during a mental pause, period of mixed tension and relaxation. For example, when you're in the shower or while exercising, driving, walking, or maybe you're meditating, the mind reverts to a neutral, somewhat unfocused state in which it is receptive to issues or themes that have not been resolved. That's why a temporary activity that is relatively simple and mindless can provide the moment for a creative flash from the deep in the subconscious. If the analytical part of the mind is too focused and active, it shuts down the spontaneous part. I'm sure a lot of you have experienced moments when you're trying really hard to come up with something or even remember something, and your brain's like, yeah, no, try again. Thus, the semi relaxed mental pause is like putting the analytical left brain on hold and giving room for the intuitive right brain to find the solution in the subconscious mind. So, looking at the three questions I have there, if anyone, I'll give you like 30 seconds or less. to come up with an answer if you don't have one already. So I'll just read this one. If you could mix any two animals to create a brand new species, what would they be?
A goldfish and a panda.
How would it breed? Would it be like an underwater? Would it be a land creature? That's a very interesting one.
I just I was looking at goldfish the other day and I saw a panda like the face of a panda on a goldfish. So I just come up with that.
That's actually rather creative. So, anyone else, if you could mix any two animals to create a brand new species, what would it be? Nobody wants to mix two creatures.
A dog and a cat.
That's so cute. I personally would take it. So, question two, where or when do you get your best ideas? Me personally, the shower. I get my best ideas inside of there.
Yeah, random thoughts
When
that just pop in my head, yeah.
you say same. And lastly, consider the following three set of words: tree, book, and internet. And anyone identify the commonality among these words? Nope, no one. It's actually rather simple. Well, so the commonality amongst these three words is that they all convey information. Trees can provide information about nature, books contain written knowledge, and the internet is a vast source of various kinds of information. And with that, I'll hand the baton over to Fayan.
Good night. So, implementing change challenges and strategies. Introduction. Change is a fundamental aspect of organizational growth, driving innovation and progress. However, within this transformation, there often exists a divide between leaders' aspiration and employees' concern. It's crucial to recognize that resistance, a natural response to change, is deeply rooted in what we term the personal compacts. The personal compact and resistance. The personal compact isn't solely about job descriptions. It encompasses trust, shared expectation, and emotional bonds. When change disrupts this delicate balance, employees resist. Imagine a shift in an insensitive system. It's not just about numbers, it signifies potential loss to employees, triggering resistance. Management tools for change. To navigate this resistance, leaders employed a structured approach, often following models like Cutter's 8 stages. Emotional intelligence becomes our guiding principle here. Emotional elements such as storytelling and symbolism create profound connections. Consider these as bridges over the river of resistance. Transparent communication forms the foundation. Face-to-face interaction builds trust step by step, empowering employees through participation and involvement. Solidify these foundations, making corrosion a risky last resort unnecessary. Emotional engagement and change. Envision change as a story, a narrative of growth and opportunity. Emotional engagement transforms this narrative into reality. Stories, metaphors, and symbols are the ink that writes our organizational tale. To evoke passion and purpose, making employees receptive. A visual representation of our future becomes the artist's brushstroke, painting commitment and enthusiasm among employees. The heart of change. At the core of change lies attitude and behavior. Potters and Cohen's research illustrates successful change rooted in emotional engagement. Urgency becomes the artist's call to action, communicating the vision becomes a brush, and empowering employees becomes the palette. These elements blend seamlessly into success stories, resonating with authenticity and humanity. Implementing techniques. Let's explore the practicalities. Communication and training serve as our compass, guiding us through uncertainty. Face-to-face interaction and open forum invite dialogue. Participation and involvement transform resistance into collaboration, creating a shared journey. Remember, coercion is a last resort, akin to a fire alarm to be used only in crisis, sparingly and cautiously. Leadership and downsizing. In this realm of downsizing, empathy becomes our guiding light, providing advance notice in our initial step, spotlighting transparency. Involving employees in decision-making becomes a bridge, allowing choices and easing stress. Emotional support akin to a safety net catches those falling, maintaining morale for those still standing. Cultivating change leadership. Cultivating change leadership is an art. It requires leaders to embody courage, adaptability, and resilience. Each setback becomes a brushstroke, painting a culture of continuous improvement. Empathy and active listening becomes our medium, sculpting trust and understanding, ensuring every voice is heard. In conclusion, our journey through change is a delicate dance between structure and empathy. This personal compact is our guidance star, emotional engagement our compass, and transparent communication our brush. By embracing change not as a challenge but as a compass for growth, organizations can sculpt a future defined by adaptability and innovation. To wrap up our group presentation, let's emphasize that the insights shared today highlight the critical role of leadership in navigating change and fostering creativity within organizations. By embracing diverse tools, effective communication, and strategic visions, leaders can guide their teams through challenges and towards opportunity. We encourage everyone to reflect on these principles and apply them in their respective ways. Thank you for your time and engagement in today's presentation.
All right, thank you everybody. That'll be the end of our presentation. We will stop sharing right now.